Hello, everybody, and welcome again to Consciousness Rising Zimbabwe and beyond. My name is Tania Norris, and I'll be your host today. But today I am very excited because we have with us somebody who has been in our spiritual community for many, many years. She is a facilitator and a teacher on energies. I know that Sharon has attended some mystery schools, so it's been many, many years of wisdom that Sharon has. And she's also been connecting people with their guides, their spirit guides, and interdimensional beings. So with that, I'd just like to say welcome, Sharon. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Tan, thank you. I am so well, and it's lovely to connect with you and to have this conversation.
No, I think this is such a good time to have you, Sharon. And one of the reasons why I thought this is a really good time is because you will be able to give us some understanding from that higher point of view, higher perspective of what is going on the planet right now with all the energies. But I also wanted to ask you, Sharon, is, you know, a lot of things get bandied around in this community. And I think a lot of people find it confusing. Even myself at times find it confusing. And we have these things that go around. It's consciousness, it's ascension, it's 5D, 3D, it's spirituality. And do you know what I'm saying? It tends to all get in a bit of a mix. People get confused about that. My question to you is it all the same thing? Or are they different aspects of each other?
Okay, Tan, you know, one of the things that I realized when I started to wake up was that I am always connected to spirit. So therefore, I was inherently spiritual. So that was one word that I didn't apply to myself. If I am inherently spiritual, I don't then have to be a spiritual being. I am inherently spiritual. So I took the word spiritual to mean me connected to my own spirit and what that spirit does for me. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if I'm connected to my own spirit, what does it bring me? It brings me my experiences in this life, and it brings me to the next place and the next place, the next unfolding, the next wisdom. Okay. So for me, being spiritual is about me being connected to me and my intuition. Okay. That is, and so if I'm connected to my intuition, okay, then I pay attention to myself. I don't have to go out there external and look for a validation about who I am, because it's rising from within me. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. That's right. Yep.
Okay. So then, so what is rising in me is also a different kind of awareness, i.e. a different kind of consciousness. Okay, so if I look at my awareness when I first started waking up and what I thought about and how I had constructed my life, okay, those thoughts bear no relation to where I am today, but they have been building blocks to where I am today. Okay, so what I've done is I've created new ideas and thought new thoughts. Okay, because that's an essential part of waking up. Okay, is that you've got to create new thoughts. And those thoughts and new ideas arise from inside of me because I receive that inspiration. I receive that illumination. Okay, that is so totally relevant to my life. Okay, and so that for me is an awakening in consciousness. Okay, and so consciousness is therefore that silent energy that's around me, that's just my skin. Okay, that I draw into myself as inspiration and illumination. Okay, and I draw it into my own silent place. All right, my own, what is now becoming the new buzzword, the 0 point. Okay, but it's my own silent place inside. Okay, and therefore, when I receive it inside of me, it has absolute relevance to my life. Okay, and it guides me forward. So consciousness is something that is evolving. Okay, it's It's constantly unfolding. Okay. And consciousness always, it kind of like takes us out of our comfort zone. Do you know what I mean? We kind of got to shift from A to B. Okay. And so we look back and know that something inside of us has shifted. And very often it's just a belief system or an old way of thinking. It's as really as simple as that. It's not anything that's out of reach of ourselves. It's everything internal. It's all happening inside our bodies. Okay. It's not happening out there in the world. It can't. It's happening inside of our bodies. So consciousness is arising inside of me. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. That's right. Yeah, it does.
Okay. What do you think about consciousness? I mean, you know, this is my opinion. What is yours?
Well, I think it's obviously it's exactly what I agree with you there, but my language might be slightly different there. You know,
exactly.
Okay. I feel like spirituality is, if I just show you, like, if that is spirituality and that is me, and I am innate, it's an innate wisdom within inside me. Consciousness is for me an expansion of that. So when we talk, say, maybe about 3D, 5D, or higher dimensional, we're talking, this is 3D, this is the expansion, which is infinite, actually. So we're all living in those areas. So I can view life from here, but I also can view it from here, from a third human perspective.
Absolutely, Tan, because the way you've just described it, we are everything.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
We are everything, right? So we are 3D, we are 5D, we're even higher, you know. And what's happening is that we've also been caught up in, oh well, I'm 3D and you're 4D and that person over there is 5D. That creates, for me, that creates separation, right? And you know what?
It's you know what, Sharon, I feel it's the level of awareness. So like the spirituality is here, and this is your connection to source. Within the bounds of higher dimensional, say 5D or beyond 5D, we have things like intelligence, maturity, spirituality, awareness. You know, that doesn't just come with the spiritual.
Sure.
That doesn't just come. That is something, as you say, that innate wisdom, the curiosity, the expansion, the maturity and the intelligence will then come, because then we end up with the higher perspective. I mean, and we never have the highest. No one has a highest perspective, but we're all on the different levels of viewing life. But you know what I also feel is that there's a big thing going on in the world where, well, we just have to be so sweet and so nice, otherwise we're not being spiritual. We've just got to hold this. We've got to hold this happy vibration, and now we're being spiritual. And if we're not, then then we're not spiritual people. What is your perspective on that?
Tan, you know what? I think we're being misled again. Okay, that when you are spiritual, you have to become a certain kind of person. Okay, with certain kind of characteristics, certain traits. Okay, and for me, that detracts from my humanity. That takes away from me being human. Okay, so in my humanness, I can be angry. All right, from my higher perspective, what am I going to do with that anger? Am I going to use it constructively or destructively? Okay, that is then me being integrated completely with my humanity and being completely aware of how I am feeling. And what am I going to do with that? That's my higher perspective. Okay, if I'm acting out my anger and it's just a knee-jerk reaction, okay, then all I'm acting out is a patterning and a conditioning and a programming that I haven't even thought about. It's like, okay, I'll just have a knee-jerk reaction. But the minute you start waking up, automatically there's a higher perspective. It's like, why am I doing this? Why am I triggered? Okay. And so I then become integrated with my anger, okay, but it doesn't stop me expressing it. Because if it it's a part of who I am in that moment, my higher perspective will say, okay, here is anger. Let's use this constructively to change the situation or to prevent something happening again. Okay, that really triggers my anger. And so I can use anger as a very powerful emotion to grow and to change things. Okay, but it's changing things for me. Okay, it's changing things for me. And then I am integrated with it and I allow it to just flow from me in a way that is graceful and is not destructive. Okay, so you know what? Because I am human and also connected to my spirit, guess what? You get everything. You get everything. Okay, you get my joys, my happiness, my grief, my sadness. Okay, my misery, my suffering. Hello, it's all within me. It's all integrated within me. And if it's appropriate that I talk about my grief because that's where I am right now, then that's me expressing who I am. And why should I shut that off? Simply because I'm perceived as being a spiritual person. I'm human. You know what? I'm human.
That's
and
right.
I think that our journey in this life is to be so connected and integrated with both our divine aspects and our human aspects. You know, to feel and experience that integration. And I know that is what you've experienced as well in your life, Tan, is that ability to be expressive, but use a different language because you've got a higher perspective on it. Because,
Correct.
you know, I watched you do that.
Well, Sharon, I try. You know, I also believe and I feel, and going years back, I think I even learned this with Natalia Baker, but it made so much sense to me, was, and we're not actually being spiritual unless we are feeling those emotions. You know, unless we can feel anger. Because, you know, we're pushing it away, whatever you resist persists. So it's important actually to feel it, but be aware of it.
Yeah.
And I have those conversations with myself all the time because I can get triggered and then I'm off to the races. And I have to say to myself, okay, Tania, you're on your horse now. Can you do better? And sometimes it's, well, yes, I can, let's just drop it. Sometimes the answer is no, I can't do better. This is what I need to do, and I need to feel this anger. But the difference is I'm aware of it. So if I'm aware of it, the question will be, well, how long do you need to be? How long is it going to take you to get it out of your system? Okay, then I give myself a time frame. But it's different. It's mindful anger as opposed to mindless anger.
Absolutely, but Tanda, isn't mindfulness applies to waking up, doesn't it? Okay, you become mindful of who you are and what you're putting out into the universe. Okay, what you're putting out beyond yourself. Okay, and you know what? Often when we have that explosive anger, it's only with hindsight that we look back and think, okay, what was really going on here? And so very often those things are right in front of us and in our face, and it's the next thing to do for our unfolding. Okay, so we have to go through that sometimes mindless anger to look back at it and think, okay, I need to change how I'm doing things, and therefore how am I triggered? And that's about taking personal responsibility. But often you can only do that in hindsight, once you're through a situation or a circumstance. Okay, because you know what, that old saying, we're wiser in hindsight, is so true. And if it's part of our unfolding process, Tan, we have to do that. We have to sometimes be mindless. It's the only way to kind of grow and change, right?
So from the sort of say maybe higher or more awakened perspective, I don't like to use that because it sort of makes you sound superior, but
absolutely.
But those people that possibly have been spending many years and have done a lot of inner work themselves might be able to look at it from, say, a higher or a different perspective, from or I would say a multi-dimensional perspective. rather than higher.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and yeah, I think to say, like, you used a very good word there, you said integrate, because I don't know if you can get to the other side without feeling the feelings, making sense of them, and then letting it go.
Well, and I think in our generation, our mind intelligence was valued the most, and our education system supported that. Okay, because we were classified into A stream, B stream, C stream, and in A stream you did this, B stream you did that, C stream you did that. Okay. Very little attention was paid to how is it that we process emotions and what are they, so we've had to learn about our emotions, and most people know happy, sad, and angry, but they know very little in between that. Okay. So in awakening, you start refining your emotions, and that for me then brings about an emotional intelligence. Okay, an emotional awareness, an emotional awakening, because I'm not just sad, happy, and angry. I'm a whole shade in between. Okay. And so that often expresses itself, the various shades of black, pink, white, yellow, gray, whatever color my emotions happen to be. It's human to express that. Okay. And I think we tend to go into like a spiritual ego thing where we think, I can't express this, I can't say this, I can't be this. Okay. But you know what? I am being myself in every single moment. Okay, so if I am being sad, that's an expression of who I am in this moment. But also, if I'm feeling uncomfortable or uneasy, that is different to feeling sad or angry. It's a range in between everything, and I've got to learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, learn to be easy with unease. Okay. So I think that one of the things that happens with awakening is that we start becoming emotionally mature. Okay, and getting in touch with the things that make us vibrant and healthy. Because I think if we're just operating from the top 3 chakras, okay, we are not grounded in anything, and our whole selves is, our minds, our bodies, our emotions, our intuition, our clairvoyance, because a lot of people tend to be visual. When you ask them to meditate, they can see color, they can see energies. Okay. And for me, clairvoyance is about, seeing what's going on in my life. Do you know what I mean? That clairvoyance starts with me. And that for me is that multidimensional aspect that you mentioned. Okay, is that a higher consciousness is a multidimensional consciousness, and clairvoyance is one of the things that is a gift of being multidimensional. But we all have that. That's also inherent. Being intuitive is absolutely inherent as well. Okay, so if I am seeing what's going on in my life and I bring it to my emotions, only then can I grow. Only then can I become emotionally mature. And therefore, I can grow into wisdom, because you see, for me, what I have learned about my own wisdom is that it's knowledge plus experience. Okay, for me, has created my wisdom. So I have knowledge about something, I experience it, and then only then can I become wise about it. Okay, because I put 2 and 2 together and got 4 instead of 5 or 3. You know what I mean?
Often, all the time, yeah.
So, that multidimensional space, I think we've also kind of been misled by that and thinking that that is a higher state. But there's a lot of what we perceive as being multidimensional as everyday stuff. Our intuition,
That's right.
Our clairvoyance, our clairaudience. That's everyday stuff.
But and also, Sharon, sometimes, and I hear it said over and over and over again, it's like a stuck record, that Well, it's a very simple way to fix all these problems on the planet. It's just through love and forgiveness. You know, sometimes my brain just goes kaboom. I think seriously, because yes, that is the truth. We know that that is the truth. However, not everybody looks at life from there. A lot of them are looking at life from here. And I think that the emotion, like you were talking about, I think that these higher realms are a little bit, I say emotion might get less and less. Obviously, we're experiencing it because our human selves are here and part of this whole, the whole ecology of the sort of higher or hyper self. But I think that they're two different kinds of love. I think that a human love is an emotional feeling. We think about that when we think about babies and kittens and that kind of love. And this kind of love is not so much emotional. It's a wisdom. It's a being able to, it's an awareness. It's an awareness. So you can look at the kitten from a perspective of understanding, like, well, you know what? That kitten's probably going to get eaten by a dog, but I can still love it, and I can still feel the compassion.
Yeah.
But look at the big picture of what's the life going to be of this kitten.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not charged with emotion. And so I think it's really important for people to understand these two different kinds of loves when they are looking for this love everybody and forgive everyone.
Tan,
That's from my perspective. Maybe you disagree with that.
No, absolutely, Tan. Because you see, from my perspective, love is something that we're all growing into. Okay. And you see, for me, love always sits on the opposite side of a stick. Okay. And if you're being judgmental, hello, you're not being loving. Okay, simple. Okay. Right. And if I'm being cynical, okay, and I'm not being loving. Okay. So one of the things that happens with love is that we grow into it. The more emotionally mature we are, the more we find stability in our emotions. Okay, they don't roller coaster through us. We're more in charge of our emotions. Okay, and therefore that ability to feel compassion is often the first growth into love. Okay, because if you're feeling compassionate, you can read somebody's story, you can feel somebody's pain without actually stepping into it. And therefore you can just embrace them, okay, and hold them in their story without actually buying into it. And for me, that therefore is an expression of love. Okay, but I don't go from here to loving just like that simply because I set my mind to it. No. Because there's a lot of blockages along the way. Well, certainly in my life. There's been a lot of blockages along the way, okay, and a lot of reservation about opening up, okay, and receiving as well, because it's not just what I am giving away, it's also what I am receiving, okay. I have to learn to receive love as much as I need to learn to give it away, because I cannot give myself what I cannot give away. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of learning and a lot of process in growing into that universal love, okay, because it is the stuff of the universe, it's the stuff of creation, okay. That's right. But it's a journey into that expansion and into that knowingness of love, because actually until you know it and experience it, it's just a word, right? Ascension is just a word until you actually experience the process of changing your life, okay? And then look back and think, okay, I was that and now I am this, okay? And I can feel the difference in me. I can feel the growth in me. I don't just know it, okay? I feel it. And love is definitely a feeling. It's not a, you can't play mind games with love, okay? You can't put love in a box either and say this is what it is, okay?
That's true. Many things, but I think it's very important to, because it gets bandied around so much, that word. that I also, like you said, you know, it's been what I call hijacked. You know, a lot of these words and the deeper understanding, which, so, you know, people who want to come to the party kind of sometimes can't make sense of it, because you're talking about something like just love, like, you know, it's just love. And but I think what you also, you mentioned there something about, and that was maturity, you know, having a sense of spiritual maturity. And what do you think about and why is it so hard for people to have personal responsibility? Because Sharon, I mean, also, you know, you facilitated a lot of things. I've had a lot of clients over the years, and I can't tell you how many people, and I was that myself as well, women who come, well, you know, my parents are awful to me, my husband abuses me, everything is terrible in my life. And one of the first questions I'll ask them is sort of like, well, how do you think you got yourself into this situation? You know? And it's an uncomfortable question. Like, you know what I mean? It's shining the light on there, how everybody else, the parents and the husband, but there's no, it's very difficult for them to make the shift inside to see, well, I've made personal choices, you know, in my life. So maybe, you know, these are the result of them. What do you feel about that personal responsibility?
Tan, you know what I have learned about personal responsibility is that everything in your life narrows down to a point where change is the only way forward. And what's happened is that you've invested in your story. So you've invested in the fact that your parents, that you've had a difficult childhood, that you are in an abusive relationship. You've invested in that story. And very few people ask themselves, who am I without my story? Who can I be without this history, this lineage, okay, this ancestry? Very few people ask that question, okay? And when you do ask that question, what happens is that you shine a light. It's like you become the torch for your own life, okay? And therefore, things have to change because you take personal responsibility for where you are right now. And because things are so narrow and things are so repetitive and you're saying the same words and acting out the same stuff and listening to the same old story, the only way forward is to step out of that story and to step into something new. And a lot of people are very reluctant to take that risk, Tan, because they don't know where they're going to land. Okay, we know from our experience that you only land in safety, okay, that you only land in a new awareness, okay. But until you've taken that first step, you don't know what that new awareness is about. You don't know how much of your life is going to change as a result of that, okay. And a lot of people don't understand that the only things that fall away from their lives are the things that do not work, okay. The things that you take with you on your journey are the things that do work, okay. So you give up the things that don't work, the belief patterns, the words, the actions, the repetitive, same old stuff. You leave all of that behind, okay? And a lot of people need to learn to become comfortable with that change, okay? And to know that actually it is safe to change, because we live seemingly in an unsafe world, okay? And so now suddenly we're wanting to change, and where is it going to take us? Where are we going to land, okay? But you land deeper into yourself, you land into a deeper awareness, you land into a different perspective about who you are. And once you start exploring that perspective without your story, you just, it's like you have this inner blossoming and this inner growth, okay? And you can separate yourself from your story, okay? And just move forward. And then things will just unfold for you because you then take personal responsibility for your very next choice. And your very next choice might be to say, I leave this relationship. This relationship is abusive, and I draw the line underneath that, and I'm stepping away from it. Okay.
Right.
And you know, when you take that personal responsibility, the universe is right there with you showing you the next doorway for you to step through. It's not like it leaves you hanging, right?
No. But
Shows
if you've never done it, you don't know that. And people just need to find their courage and dare to take a chance.
Because you see, you've opened the door, okay, and it's like you then have given that instruction to the universe to show you the door, okay, and so that you can walk through it. And that's the universe's job, is to show you the door that you need to walk through. All you have to say to the universe is, show me the door, show me my next step. And the universe is right there for you, but it's waiting for your instruction, okay? And so that is the synchronicity of the universe, okay, is when you say to it, show me what's next, it shows you, okay? And so it will show you that open door, and you step through that door into a different perspective of your life that has subtle differences to the space that you've left, okay? And then your next unfolding has subtle differences again, okay, that are based on the wisdom that you've received in this space, based on the wisdom that you received in that space. So it's this continual growing. You know, for me, when you walk through that open door, it's a continual process of growing and growing into a different perspective of your life that is different to the perspective that you had behind the door. So that's why we grow, is the doors are always opening. The synchronicity of the universe is always showing up, okay? Simply because you have set that intention. You have said to the universe, show me, okay? And the universe responds. Right. And that for me is awakening. That for me is a growth in consciousness. It's ascension. Whatever word works for you, that it just lets me know that you're willing to move and shift and change. And once you create a foundation of change, then that slowly snowballs in your life. And it's easier and easier and easier to change, because you know how to do it. You know, your steps at the beginning are baby steps. You know, they're creating new foundations in your life. And then your foundations become stronger and solid, okay, into who you are and into who you are becoming. And so you can take more and more steps. So it's a continual unfolding. Your life is a continual unfoldment of more and more and more of you, right? More and more and more of your multidimensionality.
That's right. And you know what, Sharon, I think we're going to do a whole show on that, on the multi-dimensionality. But I think for this purpose and here today, I think if we just sort of you look at the earth in and of itself, like the human body, it's so multi-dimensional. You think about all the systems you've got a skeletal system and an autoimmune system and an endocrine system, and it goes on and on and on. That's just our little human body, never mind getting to the planet. You know, if you look at all the different systems of life that go on here, that's all multi-dimensional within itself, you know? So
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, there's a lot inside of us in our human body that can be related to the planet. You look at our circulatory system, for example, and the way our blood moves. Look at the way lava and water move. You know, it's through channels, it's through tributaries, it's, do you know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's not all fun and game on the planet either. You know, we have, I mean, they're hot spots, they're freezing cold places, extremely hot places. You've got deserts, you've got winds that blow. It's not always pleasant. And that is just really where we are, is looking at that. And what you were saying earlier, you know, this whole thing to ascension and awakening, it is a process. It's not an event. And I think, you know, people just, as you say, dared to be wrong is another thing. We're afraid to step out of our comfort zone and accept, well, maybe I was wrong, or what would it feel like to be wrong? You know, have a little bit of curiosity. Can you imagine that I was wrong about that?
Absolutely, absolutely. And Tan, you know, that also leads us back to our belief systems. you know. So for me, I try to walk away from wrong and right, and I try and use the words appropriate and inappropriate. Okay, so if my belief system is inappropriate, well, then it's been right for me to this point, but it's inappropriate for me to carry it forward. Do you understand what I'm saying about right and wrong and appropriate and inappropriate?
Sure.
But
everything also has
inappropriate,
its context and its time and its place. Not to say it's
exactly,
necessarily appropriate or inappropriate. It's about timing.
yes, and also if my belief system is no longer appropriate for me to hold on to, then it has no emotional charge and I can just let it go. And I'm letting it go simply because it is no longer serving me, okay? And therefore I can embrace a wholeness, you know, a different perspective. So, yeah, you know, and that's the energies of the universe at the moment, Han, is we all have the opportunity to go with them and see what it is that we are about. How is it that we work? Why have we set up ourselves to work crazy hours, you know, to the detriment of our health, our relationships, our own inner balance and our own inner peace? And we've all had that opportunity to find a different way of expressing ourselves in the world, so that the world can then be different. Because the only way the world is going to be different is if we are different.
And we're going to have to wrap this up. What is your last words? You've shared so much wisdom with us today, and I'm really grateful for that. And I just have to say thank you for your service here to us and to the country and humanity, because I know over the years you've helped a lot of people, myself included. So I thank you for that. What is going to be your last bits of advice that you want to leave with people?
Tan, you know, when you grow and you have an awakening, one of the most important things is just really to be kind to yourself, to know that everything is in a state of flux, that everything is shifting, that your foundations that you're stepping off are not yet solid. The ones that you're stepping onto are not yet solid, but you are creating something new. And that takes kindness, Tan. It takes a huge amount of kindness for yourself, okay? And finding that compassion to know that actually, yes, I'm changing. I don't know where I am going, but I know that I'm changing. And to just hold that within yourself and to allow it to unfold, because everything unfolds in its own divine timing, Tan, and we can't push that process along. It happens, and because it's happening in divine timing, it's happening organically. It's not something we have to force. So don't push yourself into those corners. Okay, just allow everything to soften, and you do that through being kind and compassionate towards yourself. And you know, I have found that very helpful. Listen, I don't always do it right, you know, because we are our own harshest judges and our own harshest critics. Okay, so learning to be kind is also a process. But it's very facilitatory when you are kind, because there's a softening and then an allowing of something to arise that's new, that's different, that's awakened.
That's right. And also to, how can I say, so using your own innate wisdom as you're moving forward, I would say.
Absolutely.
Because they all have it.
That is the most, Tan, your own innate wisdom is the most relevant wisdom in your life. It is the highest place you can go to for your own unfolding. Okay. Unfolding doesn't happen externally because I've had a channeling or because I've gone to somebody for assistance. They might have said words to me that really make sense, but I've got to come back and look into that. Okay. And
process it.
And my own inner wisdom has to, as you say, process it and align with what is the highest for me. And only that can come from me, Tan. It can't come from anybody else. People can guide me back to that, okay, but I've got to find it. I've got to experience it. You know, so my own inner wisdom is my highest place.
Yep, I agree. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you so much. And So thank you, Sharon, for sharing that with us. And also, I just say to people, please listen to what the conversation has been, and take a chance, take a risk, and try some of the stuff, and really sit and maybe evaluate, well, where am I on the scale of, you know, and it's, you know, when we're going through life and we're going through tricky times and COVID and loss of jobs and income and riots and all sorts of things that are going on, is to know that that chaos is actually normal. It's really nothing new. It's the way the whole universe actually was created, was through chaos. But it's to navigate our way through it. And I think the way to navigate our way through it is by using that innate wisdom, by using yourself, your whole self, not just your spiritual connection, but your whole self, being your consciousness, your awareness, your intellect, your emotions, everything that compromises of you, your maturity, you know, and trying to go through life like that. So everybody, good luck.
Well, it goes back to the Thanks, Tam.
What were you going to say? Say it. Talk.
Thank you. Sorry, you've just encapsulated what multidimensionality is about, Tam. It's all of that you have just said. Okay. And when you bring all of that to your own party, man, you have a party.
and there's going to be chaos. There's always chaos at a party, isn't there?
Listen, chaos symbolizes that something deep is happening, something deep is changing, something deep is awakening.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, Sharon, we have to go. Thank you so much. And we're certainly going to have more chat because you've got just too much to talk about.
Thank you, darling Tam. Have a great day. Lots of love.
Thank you. And to everybody else out there, have a great week. Have a better week. And let's just enjoy the ride, and just remember to keep it real always. So, bye. Bye.